So the next one is about the moon calendar, and I do know it faces the right way. It's exciting. So the moon calendar went home, and again, this is one of those, it's crazy with the hurricane, it disrupted things, but we did go and hand this out on Monday, and we pulled up, I had an app on the iPad, I pulled up moongiant.com, and we looked at it, and we talked about it, and we filled in the first 2 days on the calendar, which was September 9th and September 10th. And then they were told about the check-ins. There was a little piece of paper that went home. There will be, I guess, 3 check-ins and then the final due date, which each were 25 points at each check-in. So I wanted to give a little bit more of an explanation of that, so you and your student feels comfortable for the next 2 check-ins. These are the dates. The next one will be this Wednesday. The next one will be the following Wednesday. And then the final due date, the absolute last date that I'm going to take it, is the 15th, which is a Monday, because at the bottom of their calendar, and this one is a freebie I just got off of Teachers Pay Teachers, because I left the other one at home, but it does end on the 13th, so I'll take it on that following Monday. A couple of things to think about, and I gave general feedback for the students that handed it in today. Shading is a big thing, and I know I tell the students it sounds something that's, you know, it's kind of silly and nitpicky, and we don't have time to color, or we don't have time to draw and, you know, do all those fun things. So when I do give them an opportunity, especially when it comes to science, I do like them to be a little bit more thorough in their observations. I like to do science experiments. We like to do STEM projects, but there's that part of the scientific process that goes along with it. So I will be a little bit particular about what they're giving me. For those that handed it in, I did make some notes. I have some comments. So the shading is something that's very important to me. One of the other things that we were talking about in class, and we'll be going over the phases of the moon. We talk about waxing and waning. It's always moving from one direction to the other, whether it's the light on or the light off. The 9th just happened to be the new moon, which is kind of perfect for us starting the calendar. So when we get to the new moon, the light, since it was completely full of shade, will start creeping on this way. One of the things that we talked about was trying to avoid the straight up and down line and then shading in and behind there. Because since it is a sphere, the way the light's going to hit it, I like to try to see more of that crescent in behind there, so it's not just that straight up and down. I know a lot of the moon calendars, the half moon, they'll have it as that straight up and down, so I'm a little bit more lenient with the first quarter and the last quarter, since if you look at a moon calendar, it typically tends to be straight. But I do like to see a little bit of that crescent. Sometimes I'll see the students shifting their crescent over to the side. For example, they'll kind of have their crescent come over and kind of hang on one side, and then the rest of them are pretty even. Again, I'll make a note on that, especially the first time. If I see it as a consistent pattern with the other check-ins, I will start taking points off for it, since the feedback was given. So if they're not quite sure by what I mean about something, have them come ask, and I don't mind explaining it to them. What was another thing? The crescents, the shading, I will absolutely take off a point if the shading flips from one side to the other, because then they're switching moon phases, and that's just, you can't have light on one side and then switch light to the other. Also, it is a gradual process, so if we say that all of this is shaded, and, you know, mind you, I'm just rushing it to get through this so you don't have to listen to me jabber on forever, and then all of a sudden it's almost a quarter. It's not a gradual progression. It needs to look as gradual as it really is. But again, we're going to go into more specific details of the moon phases. We'll talk about how long it takes and, kind of get into it. But this is just the basic observation piece. That's a part of the science unit that we're going to do. So if you can't see the moon, the students have options. I'm like 98% sure it's in the Google Classroom, with the assignment that they can look at every morning when they come in. They just need to, once they get through their morning procedure up until their morning work part, just let me know that that's something they need to reference. So if I see them on their iPad, that's what I know that they're doing. They can access it at home. I know it hasn't been the clearest skies at night. So internet's always an option for that. But again, it's part of our science unit and trying to build and establish those habits for taking note of details and, putting the time and effort into it. So I hope that explains the moon calendar a little bit. Again, the second check-in will be this Wednesday, so by 8:30, the moon calendar will need to be handed in, and I'll make sure that they get it back so they can go home and continue with their observations. Then the following, my kids are below my feet. The following Wednesday, again, will be a check-in, and then it'll be due that Monday on the 15th. If your student has any questions, please make sure that they're asking. And if you're unclear about anything, please let me know. If your student loses it, there are some extra copies in the extra bin where they know where it is. And if worst case, just draw some circles and problem solve it out. This I got Teachers Pay Teachers for free. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other resources out there that you can just print out. It did start with the 9th. The last day on the calendar will be October 13th, and you can fill it in from there. So again, I hope that helps, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.